Thank you. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. Now I can actually skip that part. Yeah, I'm an urban farmer. I have farmed on soil, on the ground, but I have also farmed on rooftops in Istanbul, and now I'm doing it for Nabolagshager in Oslo, Norway. Well, they are quite different, not only because of the climate, but also the resources that we can mobilize to make such dreams come true. Well, my first adventure was to convince a shopping mall that it's actually worthy to put a rooftop garden and produce food on their Idil rooftop by using permaculture principles. I think this will work. Okay, so at the end of 2015, I started volunteering at a restaurant called Ek Biç Ye İç, which I can roughly translate as sow and harvest, eat and drink. At a permaculture hub that tries to put into the dialogue the word of permaculture and sustainability and local food and organic production and all these buzzwords that people in Turkey don't really relate yet. We are not riding that green wave as much as you do in the European continent. But this place exists, and they survive, and they fight every day to make ends meet. And here you can see the hydroponics production units, and these greens are sold as salad to the customers that actually eat in front of the production units. And we also have a back garden where we have aquaponics, etc. So I started volunteering here because permaculture designers don't usually get paid. They usually volunteer and do a lot of charity work. So I was also one of them. And like a few months after I started volunteering here, a project landed in front of us. There was this shopping mall called Akmerkez, which is one of the oldest shopping malls in Istanbul. And Istanbul is a place where 20 million people live. It is the largest city in Turkey. It is not the capital, though, but it's the largest city, and it's the hub of culture, nightlife, music, finance, everything. And also shopping malls. In Istanbul, we have over 100 shopping malls. So there's a really big fight about which shopping mall you should go to, or why you should go to a shopping mall instead of just having a nice walk on the coast of Bosphorus. Well, this shopping mall is one of the oldest ones, and they were very upset that people don't come to their shopping mall anymore. And this architect, who had some spare money and a lot of extra time, convinced the shareholders to build a garden, a rooftop garden, at the back here. So we don't actually see the garden here. This is the front lawn. They really like having the lawn, so we didn't really touch that part. But they didn't know how to cultivate it. So they contacted us. And we asked, why do you want to do this? They weren't really interested in growing food. They really wanted to increase the traffic of people visiting their shopping mall. And probably they were also afraid that their clients, which are the high-end brands that have stores in the shopping mall, to shut down and go away because of the people coming less and less. Well, they thought a very heavy social media campaign would be the key to lifting the image of this shopping mall and positioning them at a very, very different place than the other shopping malls. And as you know, the privately owned public places are on the rise. So they wanted to increase or change their reputation by using green marketing. Well, we thought, okay, this is a foot in the door. We can actually make an entrance and showcase this model. So it's like a win-win model. We thought, why not? We can take on this. But there was one issue. We didn't really have a budget. They really didn't give us any money So we had to do everything ourselves. And we actually wanted to do it to show people that rooftops do not necessarily have to be that expensive. Permaculture doesn't mean fancy and expensive and costly. So we set up a crew. We had an architect from the shopping mall. Our team consisted of me for the garden part and another engineer staff who did hydroponics and aquaponics system, a facilitator because the shopping mall did not really care to communicate with me because I was just a gardener, so they wanted to have a facilitator in between, and the staff to document the entire process and promote on social media everything that we do. And we had lots of volunteers because this was a garden of 750 square meters of growing space. So the actual place is over 1,000 square meters. And every day I was doing almost like 10 kilometers of walk when I was doing gardening. And we had a very, very, very tiny budget. So we thought, okay, permaculture is all about design, all about using our brains to plan and to manage what is what is ahead of us in the future. So we did a very thorough action plan, so we could actually monitor what each of us is doing, and if every task is completed or not, because we had to report to the shopping mall architect team as well. So this is the sunny side of our garden, because maybe if you remember from the first picture, there are 3 big skyscrapers, and the garden is between those 3 skyscrapers, and it is on top of the shopping mall. So we have many spectators that watch us, and many people who shop at Louis Vuitton and stumble upon our garden. So it's like a super paradox. You spend all that money, and then you come to a do-it-yourself rooftop garden. And this is the part that is under shade because those skyscrapers are so huge. We had the luxury of having a winter garden in the middle of July in the Mediterranean climate. So yeah, we had to turn those negative aspects into smart ideas. We had a lot of vegetable beds of different sizes. Because this place was built by landscape architects, they didn't really have an idea how a garden bed should be like, how it should work. So behind here, you can actually see a garden bed almost the size of a swimming pool, which doesn't make any sense at all because you don't really want to step in the soil, right? So we had to put a lot of stepping stones inside and make it workable. Of course, this is not the best working standards because you really have to, balance on that tiny stepping stone and try to do all your gardening in that stone. But this is what we had, so we had to work with it. So we tried to incorporate all these different elements of permaculture to get their buy-in, because we wanted to show them that this is something interesting that the investors should be convinced about, so they keep funding this project and actually giving us more money to make it look fancier and worthy of the image of the shopping mall. So we did thematic contents. We weren't just like, sowing plants. We had a garden called Italian Pesto Garden, where we were growing basil and tomatoes, all the necessary ingredients to make pesto. We, for instance, this is a medicinal plants pyramid. We had a salad garden. We had a garden of edible seeds, like sunflowers, peanuts, etc. So they really, like these ideas because these are very Instagrammable. These are very usable when you want to communicate your activities, because people can actually imagine the stuff that are going on. So themes was a really good idea. This is a salad garden first, for example. You can use everything here and throw it in a salad. We had drip irrigation. That was actually a very good investment by the shopping mall, and we had a timer for it. So that was a very time-saving way. By the way, this is the swimming pool-sized garden bed. That doesn't make any sense at all, at least from my perspective. So that actually saved a lot of time. And they really didn't have to pay us coming and watering the garden, because we were running this at 6 a.m. in the morning and after sunset around 7, 8 in the evening. Do-it-yourself hydroponics. Of course, we had to lure these investors in and show them, hey, there are very smart ideas that we can show you, and you don't really have to pay a lot of money for it. This is a plastic water cup. These are like sewage pipes that we went and bought from the industrial area in Istanbul. And all these, we YouTubed everything, and we just, we went for it. We did it. And it's, of course, it made a lot of problems, but it worked. Another A-frame hydroponics. YouTube was our teacher. We learned everything we used here from YouTube, thanks to all those tutorials up there. But again, a lot of Instagrammable moments for the shopping mall to show that there are interesting stuff going on. So why don't you come to my shopping mall instead of going to the one that is just 250 meters away? Because that's the number of shopping malls we have in Istanbul. A do-it-yourself greenhouse. So we just bought some nylon and some timber and just, stapled it, because the shopping mall didn't want to give us money to do it. But then they complained because it wasn't looking pretty enough to fit their image. But the year after, they put the money to make this prettier. We put, so we had some wood flooring here. We took that wood off and made a bench. And made shelves, and made a lot of other things, because we had to grow everything from seed and transplant them in the garden. We did the misting system also in this greenhouse ourselves, because again, no budget for that. These are also the flooring that we took off where the greenhouse was standing, and we did compost bins. They actually really liked this idea because we used the food waste from the food court in the shopping mall, but that again was a very steep learning curve for the people who were working at the restaurants for them to understand what is compostable and what is not compostable. So this project had a lot of side benefits that were not expected actually. All these unexpected outcomes, when you pile them up, actually make a bigger impact than the actual predictions that we had for this project. Like, we trained so many staff working in the food court about what food waste is and how compost happens. And they were actually really happy to see their food waste growing into compost and making the soil a healthier medium. Istanbul can be a dry place because it's the Mediterranean climate. So again, a showcase of a rainwater harvest, very simple, using water pipes that you can buy from any store, and bins that you can again buy from any store. And we were using this to water our compost, and the freestanding containers. These are actually cement molds. You make cement molds in this, so everything here is upcycled. Do-it-yourself aquaponics. Again, this took many hours of building. But if it took 30 hours of building, the shopping mall used it for like 300 of workshops and seminars and public walks and talks, and they are still reaping the benefits of this project. And the hangout place, this is a dark photo, but this was the pergola that was already there, and we created this really nice atmosphere so that people would feel welcome and sit down and have their smoke here rather than, next to the door, like very awkwardly. Yeah, so this is for the shopping mall's perspective. What we wanted to do was to widespread the word permaculture and widespread the idea of putting gardens on rooftops. So we wanted to create this idea to have buy-in from investors and shareholders of such places. We made a lot of walks and talks. Because this is a privately owned place, you can't go in after the shopping mall closes down in the evening. Or you can't go in when one of us is not also there because of the security and safety concerns. It is an area that you can actually, stumble upon the wrong place, you can fall down, and we don't want that. So everything has to be coordinated by us, and everything has to be organized and under the surveillance of our team. And we did that quite often, because people would, find our garden on the shopping mall, and we would be like, okay, let's go for a walk and talk. And we would give them, some seeds, a little herb, a flower to smell, so they could, take that experience to their houses. Okay. We made a lot of tours for children, and they love playing with worms, they love playing with weeds, and they love playing with seeds and clay. And we made seed bomb activities using the seeds that we harvested from our garden. We made a harvest festival, and we made a big deal out of it. We used social media quite heavily to invite people to harvest with us, and we had so much things to harvest. We relied on volunteerism quite heavily because we didn't have manpower. And as you can see, the team is mostly women. The only engineer friend is a guy because he's an engineer. And that was a very woman-heavy project. And here you can see me training them because I had to leave for Norway, so I wanted to make sure that there's someone to take care of the garden after me. So it was also an education place, and we gave workshops and permaculture education over there. Yes, issues, investor buy-in. The shareholders actually decided to put in more money after seeing the results that we provided after this pilot year. But again, we couldn't grow a lot of tall plants like vining beans and big tomato plants because of the turbulence and the wind we had up there. Dependence on volunteers was kind of disappointing because in July, when we needed the most the volunteers, none of them were there. They were all swimming and having a very good time in their vacations. Safety and security was another issue. Aesthetics, one of the beds, for example, I had was a no-input bed. I just left it to show people what the weeds of Istanbul look like and how much of those weeds are actually edible and pretty and don't need to fight against. So that no input bed that didn't have any water, any compost, no seed, nothing, they didn't really like that bed at all. But I really fought to have that huge bed, the weeds bed, to show people that weeds are not our enemy. And financing, but I already explained you that. Now I'm coming to an end, but I would like to show you a drone video of our garden. Oops, I'm sorry. So there you can see the A-frame, the hydroponics, a lot of junk. That's why we didn't really want people to come and, discover that it's actually not all that pretty looking. Yeah, the danger of falling downstairs. That's also something that we couldn't accomplish to take care of. Okay. Our greenhouse that actually ripped during the winter. 6 compost bins here. The water system. Oh, that's me. Yeah. So here you can see this is the finance district of Istanbul. It's a very upscale neighborhood. A lot of rich, wealthy people living here. So this is the sunny side. And at the back, maybe you will catch a glimpse of the not so sunny side. But anyways, if you log on Instagram, I think I'm over time. Oops. These are the links that you can follow, hashtags that you can follow if you want to see more of this project, because it's still ongoing. It's still happening. People are working wonders there. With very little money, a lot of volunteer work, and a lot of passion and sacrifice. This is the struggle of a grassroots permaculture team to show people that food doesn't come from supermarkets, but actually comes with a lot of hard work and passion, and it just doesn't happen. And we want to show people that it is not okay to put so much distance between us and the food. And this is just a little glimpse of our struggle to make this project come true. Thank you for listening. Have a good time.